And Fort Thompson was a beautiful location. And the reason for that, all of the agency, the Bureau employees reside in the square. And there were stores, 2 stores. There was a LaCroix's, and then there was Went store were there. And I started working for the government as a groundskeeper, I guess, and we did everything. But then at the same time, I was the first tribal chairman. And the difficulty was the government, the Corps of Engineers and the Bureau of Indian Affairs went before Congress to tell them that what Pick Sloan plan was to do was to inundate thousands of acres of Indian lands. But they never told the Bureau of Indian Affairs, or never told the tribes that this was going to be done. So when I came into as a tribal leader, that was one of my first big jobs that I encountered, was to go before Congress 4 years in a row to try to get the just compensation for the people and for the people who lost their homes at the bottomland. And in so doing, also, the tribe did not have a constitution and bylaws. The Indian Reorganization Act of 1934 helped the tribes to form their constitution and bylaws and getting a form of government on the reservation. But the Crow Creek tribe did not accept the Wheeler-Howard Act, and therefore it was about 10 years afterward. My job was to go before Congress to get an administrative authority to form the government on the Crow Creek Reservation.
Joseph P. Gomer. I was a participant in the Great Experience from 1941 through 49. Actually, I was in it from 42 through 49. In 1948, Truman signed the executive order eliminating segregation in the military. I enlisted in July of 42, and I went into the aviation cadet program in September of 1942. I just wanted to serve my country at that period.
Where were you? Where'd you live then?
Iowa Falls, Iowa.
How old are you now?
90.
90 years. Oh, goodness. You're looking pretty good, boy. I know you guys, there's so many questions going through my mind right now. I just being in your presence is an honor. How well did you know Colonel Wofford?
Well, Colonel Wofford was about 2 years behind me, and he got his wings like in 45, but at that time I had had a year of combat and I was back in the States, but I didn't really meet him and get acquainted with him until Lockburn. And of course, when we got together here in Minnesota, I got better acquainted with him.
Yeah, quite a legend in his own regard.
Bill Kunstler was an extremely great trial attorney. In 1974, I was facing 250 years in prison plus a life sentence. And the job that we put on the Defense Committee was to find attorneys across the country that would come and defend us. And Bill's name came up, and he wanted to become involved with Wounded Knee because he saw it as a very that there'd be constitutional issues that might surface, and he wanted very much to be involved in it. Well, I think first of all, the Good Day to Die is a archival and it's a historical document. The content is historical and has great significance of what the history was during this time of our existence between Native people and America. But A Good Day to Die was about the things that I felt should die. The racism, discrimination, bigotry, and veiled discrimination, veiled bigotry, the bigotry that comes across in the movies, the racism that comes across in the textbooks. So this is what I felt when we were going to Custer that morning. I said it was a good day to die. And for Custer, South Dakota, because they represented the epitome of racism. They represented the bigotry of discrimination. I mean, the town itself, Custer, it's like as if Germany wanted to build a town in Poland or in Israel and called it Hitlerville. We couldn't rent big homes. We couldn't rent homes that were in white neighborhoods. And employment. We had high school graduates. We had college graduates who were janitors. They were sweeping the streets. There's nothing wrong with sweeping the streets. There's nothing wrong with being a janitor. But when the qualifications are that they could manage a company, that they graduated with MBAs, they're graduate with masters in education, and they couldn't get jobs teaching. So they were probably being a janitor for the school. I mean, that was as close as they were being to this, they're in their field. So education, housing, the employment, unemployment for Native people was just high. It's always been 60, 70%. And America America really doesn't understand what unemployment really is. When it says it's 9% unemployed and there's a goddamn economic crisis going on, and they're crying around, and that the economy is got 8%, 9%, 10% unemployment. That's nothing. That's nothing compared to what is the unemployment for black people in this country? What is the unemployment rate for Native people? It is 70, 65, 70, 75%.
We use our language excessively and to the best of our ability. There's only 4 of us, and they call us Sioux, but we're not Sioux. In their language, it means snake in the grass or snake's belly, whichever they prefer. So if I say I'm a Sioux, in their language, I'll be saying I'm a snake in the grass. We was in the infantry, and I was taking ranger training when the General Jeep drove up. And they called me, they had loudspeakers and whatever, and they called me and report to the other room. Now what the heck did I do? The general wants to talk to you. He's a 2-star general. So I said, what am I going to say? Or how am I going to act? Report to him. He wants to see you. So report to him, salute, and state your name, rank, and whatever, and just talk to him. He wants to see you. When I went into the general's office, he said, "Come in, sit down, sit down." He pulled up a chair for me. So I was supposed to salute and state my name and rank, And I stopped in front of his desk and sit down, sit down. Sir, you wanted to see me. okay, I want to talk to you man to man. None of this general and sir. Don't use those. Talk to me like you're talking to your dad or the uncle or whatever. What are we going to talk about? You're Indian. There. I am 100% Indian. Lakota Indian. I didn't say Sioux because some other tribe gave us that name. So the general said that, okay, then you're going to be my radio operator. Did you ever operator? No, I never. I'm just a young kid, 18 years and 5 months old when I said, you're going to be my radio operator. So, okay, in your language. Okay, I will. And I can translate whatever I say in my language, to American slang. Or I call it American. Some people call it English.
Like when Hitler intimidated his people, they couldn't admit that they were Jews, and they had to they walked on eggs every day of their lives until Hitler caught up with them that they were Jews and executed them, killed them all, But that was the same thing that our people, they were afraid of the U.S. government, so they didn't want to say anything against Inkpaduta. But all the other chiefs admitted that they admired him and they wanted to help him, but they were afraid that all their families would be terminated, just like Hitler terminated the Jews. In talking, when they're alone, they did talk about instances where the U.S. soldiers walked right into teepees and shot Indian families, executed them right there in the tents, promised them annuities, and then when the traders came in to trade with the Indians, the non-Indian traders, they finagled through government representatives on the reservations to intercept those annuities, saying that the Indians owed that to them on credit. And they took that and they sold it. They sold it back to the Indians, and then they sold it to non-Indian settlers that lived in those areas. And then they were forbidden to go out and hunt. So they were caught, the old proverbial, a rock in a hard place. They weren't allowed to go hunt for a living because they wanted to make them farmers, and yet they were taking the annuities away from them and selling it back to them, or saying that you owe us this because of credit. They called for a meeting with the government agent and told him, this is, our people are starving. We need those annuities. That's after they found out that they were giving them to these traders. They demanded those annuities, saying our people are starving. And that was one that, I think it was at Myrick, that one of the government agents told Lil Crow and the other chiefs that came to have a meeting with him over those annuities to release it to them. And he says, well, if your people are hungry, if they're starving, go out and tell them to eat grass. That didn't settle too good. That remark is the one that ignited that 1862 war.
I'm Pat Big Eagle. I'm from the Crow Creek Sioux Indian Reservation in South Dakota. I'm a descendant of, great descendant of Chief Big Eagle. At one time was here in Winona and had camped in this area, spent some time here with the Chief Wabasha and the other tribe. And we're here to continue that tradition of camping here, or staying here in Winona, in this area, where our ancestors had stayed at one time in history. And it's really a great opportunity for us, and we've really enjoyed being here. We've enjoyed the hospitality that the people here at Winona have expressed to us and showed us. They've made us feel very much at home, and have treated us very well, like we're human beings, and we really appreciate that. It's been good. We look forward to coming back.
My name's Rod Steiner, and I'm enrolled at the Santee Sioux Nation of Nebraska, at Santee, Nebraska, and it was one of the places when we were exiled from Minnesota where they sent our people. And I've been involved with this now this is the third year that I've been involved with the homecoming, and I've seen bigger things coming out of it, and they expressed the desire to help us with economic development on our tribes, and getting our infrastructure improved, and all the clothing and stuff they sent out, and clothing that's going out this week, and the people really need it, and they've really been well received out there, and I just I can't get over the people from Winona, how friendly they are and how serious they are about helping us. I've always heard white people tell me how the government had cheated us out of our land, and boy, you guys really got took, and I always used to think to myself, well, they're still doing it, and why don't you help us? And I said, we always have had white people that have tried to help us, and but we never had enough of them, and when they did try to help us, they were vilified by the rest of the white government and the white people. Lyle has always said that this could be a model for the way Indians and white people should get along, and I just hope it comes to pass and it gets to be a big thing, and this could be on the national news, and this is what should happen. We're real people, and we get along good with the white people. When we get together, we just have a good time, and that's the way it should be everywhere, even in the states where there's a lot of racism that just it should end. Once you get to know us and we get to know you, we can get along.
Other people should probably search out to increase their awareness of what actually went on, what the Indian people actually had to go through back in the middle 1800s to survive. I don't think any of us today could probably undergo what they did and survive or make it through it. From what I've been told by my family, while Big Eagle was in prison, his treatment was not very good, and nor was it very good for any of the captives or the other chiefs. Their food was mishandled in certain ways. I mean, they spit in their food. They kept them chained up for a time being. The guards were not very nice to them. Kicked them around, that kind of thing. Treated them pretty bad. So it's not quite as glorious as it may sound or may appear in some of the books. It was a pretty rough time for all Indians back then. And so that's something that we need to change today, that we need to build a better relation between the Indians and the non-Indians. And this here at Winona is a big step.
is Harper, and this is my wife.
I'm Stephanie.
And I'm the pastor at Trinity Presbyterian Church, the senior pastor at Trinity Presbyterian Church in Rochester, Minnesota. We've been at Trinity for about 3 years, and when we got there, one of the very first things we heard about was the outreach that we had here at Crow Creek. And as I found out more and more about it, as the new pastor of the church, something that our church was already doing, coming out here, beginning to establish a relationship with the people here, and doing some work in the cemeteries. What I realized very quickly was that this was one of the best things that we had going on as a church, because it gave us the opportunity of taking people from Rochester, Minnesota, and interacting with people in Fort Thompson, South Dakota, and doing a service project, but doing it alongside of each other, as well as reaching out to other brothers and sisters in Christ.
Build a better relation between the Indians and the non-Indians, and this here at Winona is a big step in that direction.
Do you see? Watch how he pull that off. Now he's doing all that himself. He's driving. He's flying that plane. Way to go, Mr. Webb. Now he is from Scott Puberty. He's one of Central High School students. And it's him he's getting ready to lift up. And on his way he goes with his instructor there. Way to go, Scott. Hey! Did an excellent job. I thought you was getting ready to do a figure eight out there. Huh? A figure eight.
How you like it? Oh, that's nice.
Isn't that nice?
When you get on the ground, you got to learn. You drive it with your feet.
Right.
Oh, okay. You lay your hands in your lap.
Right.
Yeah,
that's the difference, right?
Oh, ain't that something?
Isn't that excellent?